I know you're not trying anymore. That's been evident. Oh god. Hey guys, welcome back to Streamophile. I'm Ben. That's John. Today we're talking about Welcome to Wrexham, 18 episode, first season. But before we get into all of that, John, what do we do?
DJ, drop that intro.
Welcome to Streamophile, the show where John and Ben watch the latest on all streaming platforms and let you know whether to stream it or skip it. We stream everything, so you don't have to.
All right, guys. Like I said on the intro, we're talking about Welcome to Wrexham, 18 episodes. It started on FX, but it's also streaming on Hulu, so that's where we got it from. Look, man, I look. Full disclosure, we're huge fans of football, soccer, because we're playing England in the World Cup, so we're calling it soccer because that's a rivalry now. That's just what it is. But look, I could go right into how I felt about the show. But John, what did like if you were to tell somebody what Welcome to Wrexham is, what would you say it is?
Damn, you're putting me on
You
the
like that?
spot. But then
You like
again,
that? Yeah.
that's why we're doing the
So
podcast, right?
exactly right. Exactly right.
Exactly right. So I could read off the synopsis, but
But we
look,
don't
it's a
do
show
that no
about
more.
but we're not doing that no more, no sir.
Mm-mm.
It's a show about Rob McElhenney of It's Always Sunny fame and
Mm.
Ryan Reynolds of everything
Everything.
because he's on everything, and they
It's
decide
like
to
this.
team up and buy the oldest football club, also known as soccer here in the U.S., the oldest football club in the world,
Mhm.
and it's located in the town of Wrexham in North Wales. And I mean, this is a team. To give you a little background, it's a team that was in the Premier League, and over the years, because of economic downturns, that
Mhm.
town has had been hit hard, and so as the town went, the team went, and so because the economy couldn't support the team, they couldn't support playing, paying players, and they find themselves in like one of the bottom leagues of
Yep.
English,
The last,
the English
the
soccer
last,
system, football system.
the last professional league that's the last league that's considered professional soccer
Right.
in
Everything below
in
that is
England
semi-pro.
and the UK.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
which is the
Yeah,
National
so
League.
yeah, which is the National League. It's a crazy story. Look, the reason why I enjoyed the show because I could identify with it, right? Like I'm a fan of a team that's been
I,
struggling for 20
I was
years.
about
Like
to say
you
you're a
see,
multimillionaire celebrity
no,
married to
and
Blake
I'm
Lively.
incredibly handsome, and let's hold on, wait, before we get into
You
this
still
whole
have
thing,
your
right?
hair. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to my hairline. Uh, one thing I want to talk about that before I go back to the fact that the Hurricanes, which is a team that I grew up with, have struggled for the same amount of time as Wrexham has been in the National League, which is why I identified and enjoyed this show so much. Ryan Reynolds is an incredibly good-looking guy, right? It's like Rob McElhenney's not an ugly dude. Ryan Reynolds is a good-looking guy, but then you see him next to David Beckham, and just you realize there's levels to this game, son. Like David Beckham makes Ryan Reynolds look normal as shit. Like I just want to say that me and me and Melanie were talking about that. We're like, oh, Ryan Reynolds is a good-looking guy. That and David Beckham, owner of the Inter Miami, is me and Melanie were like, God damn, like
but
let's
but
just
that's because David Beckham has already entered that hair plugs and Botox lifestyle, which I'm sure Ryan Reynolds maybe is there, but maybe he's not quite there yet. What is he? He's 50,
no, he's not. He's like
48?
44. I want to say 40. No, Ryan
Okay.
Reynolds is like 44. Still,
Okay.
he's been famous for so long. That's why we think he's older.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember
Yeah,
him from Van Wilder when he
yeah,
was in
dude.
college for like 45 years.
I remember him from some random show on ABC called Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place,
Oh, he
which is where
was in
he's.
that.
Yeah. He
Yes.
was. He's always Ryan Reynolds. Even back then, 25
Hmm.
years ago, he was just Ryan Reynolds in a pizza place.
That's
But
right.
yeah, so the story of Welcome to Wrexham. Rob McElhenney is a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Right.
Slowly wanted to become an owner, get more embedded. His one of the writers on his show, Humphrey, right?
Humphrey Kerr. Yeah.
Humphrey Kerr is a huge sports fan, soccer fan, football fan as he calls it because he's from England. And he would they're shooting at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he's in the break room watching soccer, watching football, and he's like, "Who is this?" And then he wanted to find out how he could get involved and ownership or in that whole thing. So
Hmm.
they buy this club called Wrexham AFC. And the crazy thing about Wrexham AFC, like John alluded to, they had some economic downturns. They had some bad ownership. The supporters, right? Because
Hmm.
they call them supporters, not fans. The
Right.
supporters actually bought the club to save it from insolvency because it was that bad. Like
Hmm.
a bad owner took it and just tried to strip it for parts, including the stadium. And so Rob and Ryan had to like do a press conference, a Zoom conference with all the supporters.
Two
He asked
thousand plus
questions,
people. Hmm.
yeah, and talk to them and convince them by vote to be able to purchase the club. So that's an amazing story. Just that alone, if I tell you just that alone, you're like, holy shit, this is an interesting show.
Right. Yeah, that a team is like wholly fan owned, and that's but I'm sure that would be part of the problem with any team. Something that's fan owned, like yeah, okay. You save it from insolvency, but at the same time, fanatics aren't
Yeah,
rational people. They're not the
and
best
also
people
don't
to
have
be
the
owning
money.
team, and they don't have
Yeah,
the
and
money.
also,
And
yeah,
yeah, which is why Ryan and Rob, decided to buy the team. But so I mean, like you were speaking about it, right? Because the show talks about we're not going to talk about the football, the soccer, the standings, the competition, all that. Watch if you watch the show, you'll see what it's about. You'll get bits and pieces. This is
yeah,
really the story of these two
Wrexham.
guys who have no idea
Yeah,
what it is
yeah,
to own a football team. Now, look, if you haven't paid attention, as I said, Ryan Reynolds isn't everything. He
yep,
owns a what is it, gin company,
yes.
aviation or aviator gin.
Aviation Gin.
He
Yep.
owns a cell
Mint
phone,
Mobile.
Mint Mobile.
Yep.
Okay, he owns everything, and that's his thing. He
Yep.
does. A spoiler alert. That's the thing that he likes to do. He likes to build. He likes to build something. He likes to build businesses. He
Yep.
likes to build things and elevate them. And so that was part of the reason why they bought the club. And Rob, it's always sunny in Philadelphia. He's a Philadelphia Eagles fan. If you grew up in Philadelphia, you know that they are either the worst fans or the best fans in the world. One
Hmm.
thing can be two things, right?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah.
th-
Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
that's exactly what they are. They're great and great when times are great. They are not when times aren't. But I think you could probably say that about any fan base. But he's a
Yes.
guy that grew up in Philadelphia,
Hmm.
and his brothers, his family, like they were the huge fans of the Eagles. And being a Hurricanes fan, me being growing up a Seminoles fan, you know what it is to be an irrational fan. I
Yes.
thank God saw the light, did
Hmm.
ayahuasca. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah.
I'm no
Yeah.
longer an irrational fan. I can now watch
Yeah.
sports and enjoy it for the beauty of it. I can just turn on the TV and be like, I don't care what teams are on. It's good quality football, good quality basketball. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah.
And I think it was that or a divorce. Maybe that's what opened my eyes. But so that's what this team is about. These two celebrities that have never
You have
owned
to
a
break
team.
up with it. Yeah.
One guy is a business. One guy is someone that builds businesses and creates something positive, and the other guy's is a huge fan of sport, that one particular team. So he knows the pain of the people of Wrexham. He identified with them. He felt like those people are his people. Like he is one of them because he's gone through it with the Eagles. He knows what it is to
Yep.
be bad, and he's seen what it is. So obviously, the Eagles won the Super Bowl a few years ago. What it
Hmm.
is to reach that mountaintop, and so that's the entire story of that's what this is. It's like the process of buying a team and how much they find out how much they didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's one I really enjoyed it because like look, I've seen like the all or nothing stuff that they do on Amazon with like the big clubs like the Tottenhams, Manchester
Hmm.
Cities, like when they follow them behind. Yeah, it's cool, but that's already a club that's made it. Like
Yeah.
that's the top of the
Established,
top.
right?
Like yes, an established club. Like seeing like the nitty gritty, like seeing the picture, like seeing the video of just a section of like the gym, which is like one treadmill, one elliptical cycle, and some bands, and that's all they have for the gym for a professional soccer club.
Hmm.
You can say what it like it's yes, it's the fifth division, which I didn't before this series. Welcome to Wrexham. I didn't know there was a fifth division. I thought it
Yeah.
ended at three because I didn't. You know what I mean? Like I knew there was a championship, the second league or whatever they call it,
League
and then
One and
League
then
One, League
National.
Two, League Three, and then the National League. Like it's I didn't know it went that deep. Like that's insane to me. So learning about that and also learning about the people in Wrexham, right? Like learning, like you could there's somebody, one of the fans or supporters you're gonna connect with, because if
Mhm.
you're a fan of any sport, you're gonna identify with one of these fans. You're gonna identify with the happy clapper. You're gonna
The
identify
happy
with,
clapper.
you know what I mean. You're gonna identify with the
The
rational
hooligans.
fan, the hooligans. You're gonna identify with one of these fan bases, because they're different fan bases within a supporter club. And it's just, first of all, it's a really well done show.
Mhm.
We always do this thing where like we completely talk about the show before we get to like the stream and
Yeah,
skip it,
you're right.
or wow
You're
wow
right.
wow
We
west it. So before I keep going into the show, John, what do you
te-
give it?
10 minutes in before we keep
Yeah,
going. 10 minutes in,
yeah,
even though I said if you watch the show, so you can already tell. If you can
yeah,
tell
yeah,
already, stream the show. All right,
yeah.
stream it.
Stream the show, because it's not, it's an underdog story. Look, John said it right. Like sports is to us and to most people who are embedded in it the greatest drama there could possibly be. Right? Like
Hmm.
it is. It's like last. You could go back, jump. You can go back to last year's Bills Chief game, which that's some of the greatest football American football we've
Yeah,
ever seen, and that's live drama. Like
drama.
when
Yeah.
you're watching this club, because in the National League, unlike other leagues, I believe, right? I might be off on that. On like the top leagues,
Hmm.
only one club automatically qualifies to be promoted. Oh, if you're an American sports fan, what do you mean promotion? In the rest of the world, there's something called promotion and relegation. You
Correct.
can get promoted from a lower league and go to a higher league. So if you're in the National League, you go to League Three. The only way you automatically qualify is to win that league, have the most points, or win on goal difference. The second spot, you win it, but you have to go into a playoff. So second can play six. If no, the sixth ranked team beats you, you're out, because it's the one and done. There's no first leg, second leg, no winning on goal aggregate. It's do or die every game.
Yeah.
So
So so
it is. That's why it is the hardest league to get out of.
yeah,
What are you gonna say,
and
Jay?
so just to break it down, because you said like League Three, so like to give the actual what they are, it's Premier
Mm-hmm.
League. So
Mm-hmm.
Manchester, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, all these teams that you are familiar with, that's Premier
Yep.
League football. Then there's English Football League Championships, the EFL, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's League One, League Two, and the National League. Those are the five
Okay.
professional levels. Below
Gotcha.
that are more semi-pro levels: the National League North, National League South. There is Northern Premier League, which is confusing because it's got the
Yeah.
name in there. Northern Premier League,
Little
Premier
weird.
Division, Southern Football League, Premier Central, Southern Football League, Premier South,
Good. It
and
just keeps going.
it just keep these are all semi-pro. So the National League is the last professional league, and yeah, the promotion relegation doesn't exist here. I wish that it did because well, obviously then we would have more leagues. I think
Mm-hmm.
then we would have, imagine the talent pool that we would have for
That'd be
people that
insane.
develop, sort of like the G League in basketball,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know
Yep.
what college football is really. Let's just
To
call
the
it what it is.
NFL.
What
Yeah.
college football is
Yeah.
for the NFL, and yeah, so most leagues it's usually the bottom three teams get demoted, and then the top three teams from the lower league get promoted to the
Mm-hmm.
the next higher league. Like you said, the National League is tough. It doesn't work quite that way. You got to win the
Mm-hmm.
league, and only one team gets promoted, and then there's a 16 playoff, and then the winner of that playoff
Yeah.
wins gets promoted. So two teams, essentially one automatic and one playoff winner, and it's tough. It's it's tough because anything can happen in a playoff. Anything can happen in a single elimination game.
As you'll see in in this series, I think episode 6 to 17, maybe 18. No, I don't. 17 was. I do want to talk about episode 17 a little bit. That was romance. I thought that was a really good episode.
With WRO romance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, on if you follow Wrexham AFC on their Twitter or probably any other social media, it says owners Rob and Ryan with the W as, you know what I mean? It's like
Right.
WROWRY. So shout out to that. Look, this show, yeah, it's a stream it for me 100%. It has
Mhm.
two of my favorite things. Like, I mean, it's TV, it's content, and it's soccer and getting to know the ins and out. Like, it's the ultimate underdog story, because even if they are the most famous club in that league, they're still in the last league you could possibly. Every team that's in there is fighting for that same thing.
Yeah.
So yes, Wrexham has more money, more notoriety. I think I wonder what the difference was as far as followers from what they had before the show to now, because
Hmm.
now they're like at 227,000 followers.
Wow.
So you can see how it's growing around the world. They're becoming an international brand. They're in FIFA 23 because of Robin Ryan and that
Right.
notoriety. Their sponsor is TikTok, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Like when before it was like some
Vista
trailer
Print now,
company.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like before it was some trailer company. You know what I mean? Like shout out to that trailer company though,
The
because
best trailer company in all of England, though.
that's right, 100%. Like, dude, it's such it's overall look, it's just such a well done show. It's really well done. It shows you like behind the scenes with the players, not just on the training ground, but with their families. Why certain players chose to go to Wrexham. Why certain players went 2 leagues were 2 leagues higher and decided to come down, not just for the money, but you know what I mean. Like you see the heart of this town. Like this race course, the stadium, is the oldest stadium, like the second oldest stadium in the world that still plays soccer or football. Like
Hmm.
it's just a great story, man.
Yeah, man. I that's what I really appreciated. We know we were talking about the football, about the soccer, and they do mix that in, right? Game tape or
Yep,
you know how some of their games go, and you see the ups and downs, the emotional ups and downs for the fans, for the owners,
yep,
right? For Robin Ryan. But that other stuff, the actual behind the scenes of running a football team and the financials of it, and you know, just like any business, you're looking at short term and long term decisions.
yep,
Midterm, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years down the line. What are we looking at? What's our budget? And then the other piece, the families, because this is, as we said, they're in the fifth tier, the fifth league, and so these guys aren't making 5.8 million, 15
mm,
million, 20
48
million,
million.
right? They're
Yeah,
making I might be making more than some of the guys on that team, just to
yep,
be honest. And that's the
yes,
reality of the of the league that they're in. Whereas here in baseball, the minimum salary for a veteran or rookie or whatever it is, the floor might be 500,000, 600,000, whatever it's gone up over the years,
right.
700,000. Those guys
Hmm.
aren't seeing that kind of money unless they're getting closer to, you know, being deserving of being in the next league. But so you see those stories, the stories about them and their families and why some of them came back to be closer to home. Obviously, you've got celebrity owners that have more
Yep.
money, more capital, so they can afford to pay some of these guys that are in higher leagues to come down and play for that team. Now, there's no one from the Premier League coming down from the
No, no,
top
no.
league to
You're
come
not gonna
down. We're
see
talking about
Erling
like
Haaland be
one,
their striker. Yeah,
yeah, right, yeah. Which, by the
calm
way, that
guy.
guy's incredible. Jesus,
Oh, fuck.
but
Bro.
but
Hold on,
anyway,
real quick.
let's stay on topic,
What?
okay? Let's not talk
Okay,
about
okay, okay.
Haaland,
We'll talk
okay?
about that
We'll
offline.
we'll
Offline.
talk about
Offline.
that offline. Um,
Yeah.
the stories about those players coming back, yes, they're gonna make more money, but they were probably going to make similar money in the leagues that they were in because they were like a couple leagues above, and so they
Hmm.
were gonna make similar money, getting more uh, notoriety, more exposure. But the fact that they come down, you're trying to I like the fact that they're trying to lift this team out of where it's been
Yep.
for the last what
Hmm.
18 years, 20 years, trying to
16
be
years.
16
16
years
years in the fifth division. Yeah.
in the fifth division. And it's just
Yeah.
it's I like the story. I like the family story. You get to see the fans, get to see the happy clappers, which
Hmm.
are I'm not a happy clapper fan, but
No, no,
I like to
no.
see
I'm not a
the
hooligan either, though.
no, no, not that either.
No, no.
But yeah, I mean that's what makes this, because it's about these two guys that buy a soccer team. And yes, there'll be soccer played. You'll see game highlights. You'll see game footage. You'll see game footage, but it's the stories behind that. It's just the
Hmm.
difficulty of running a business. Is the family stories and the fan stories and their connectedness to the team, and you know people's whose father, grandfather has been a fan. It's in their
Yep.
blood. This is who they
Yep.
are. This is who identify. And if you're a fan of sport, period, because for some people soccer is foreign to them, but if you're a fan of sport, you know what that's like. And
Yep.
which is why I love the show, which is why I said stream it. I like the fact that I liked it and I hated it. I like the fact that they dropped the episodes 2 or 3 at a time,
Yep.
and it was like meth, like that cocaine. Like I need
Yeah.
to get a I need to get a hit. Not that
Yeah.
I know what doing coke is, but I'm just
No.
saying
What
you
we
gotta get your
imagine.
fix.
What we
You gotta
imagine.
get
What
your
we,
fix,
yeah.
and I gotta get a wait I gotta wait another week. You know what I mean? Sort of like that, like what TV used to be like
Yep.
before. We're gonna drop 15 episodes or 20 episodes, and you get to binge them in 2 days over a weekend. So I like that it gave me 2 or 3 episodes at a time, and I was able to take my time watching them, but I was also looking forward to the next because it's a captivating story.
Yeah, it's a captivating documentary. It's a really well done documentary. Like I
Hmm.
think I've told you, like to me, I'm a fail. I'm a hard fail at all documentaries, regardless at how much I want to watch them. Like I just fall asleep. Like I told you about
Hmm.
previous documentaries. I just can't stay awake. Right, I won't name them because that's not. But this one, it's first of all, it's really well done. They're bite sized, right? Like yes, they have longer episodes. Like I think like when they dropped 16, 17, and 18, like one of them was like 46 minutes, some can be
Hmm.
22 minutes. Like they vary in length because look, it's Ryan Reynolds, right? Like we said he owns everything, but he is a mega superstar. Like he has the power to be like, hey, look, we're gonna drop an hour episode and you just gotta deal with it FX. You know what I mean? If you
Right.
watch it on YouTube TV or however you still do the content if you're still on cable. But if you watch it on Hulu the next day when it drops at 3 a.m., you get to see the story, man. Like it's just you get to see the fact that like these guys that you think are incredibly smart because they're extremely uber rich, right?
Hmm.
Like you could that how much they don't know about this. Like they bought this club with almost zero knowledge of what it takes to be an owner of a football club. Like I don't know if they had probably should have talked to an owner of a football club
Right.
before they did it. Not a football team owner because it's very different. Like when Rob and Ryan are in the meeting with the president, right? The guy with the glasses, can't think of his name. It's Rob and Ryan, doesn't matter. And they're like, "Oh, if you spend 1.35 million this year, you have to spend at least double that for next year to make up for wages and pitch treatments and all this stuff. You can't
Right.
like he's explaining to them, you can't spend any less than double of this
Hmm.
because of the way the league works and stuff like that. I guess if you
Right.
get promoted, you get an influx of more money, and then that's the benefit of going to an upper league. But if
Right.
you're
You get more.
stuck,
It's almost like revenue sharing, which is why they're
exactly,
trying to get out of there.
they're trying to get the hell out of there. Right now, as we could talk about this, they currently sit second in the league. I think they're behind by a point. Um, don't want to tell you what happened because the way the show is shot is almost shot over 2 years. It's when Robin Ryan bought the club, and then they kind of do the overview briefly because it's hard to cover 40. What was it, like 38 matches or 48 matches because there's 24 teams in the National League,
Hmm.
so 48 match days. They don't cover each game. They give you
Right.
like the overview of where they are in the standings. They'll cover 7 or 8 games in one episode, kind of show you the full time scores.
Hmm.
But the show isn't about that. The show is the story of getting this club out of almost purgatory. Right? They're a huge club now in the sense of like their notoriety. Paul Mullen was doing an interview with oh man, can't think of his name. Drawing he used to have the show on NBC. Does like the NFL network stuff. Like whatever. I'm drawing a blank.
What?
I should have.
Bob Costas? No.
No, 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 no. I can't think of his name, man. It'll come to me. But
Okay.
yeah. So like he's doing it. He's doing it. This is a player. The plays the number 10. Basically, they're attacking mid.
Hmm.
Doing an interview in the fifth division. Think of that. Think about that.
Yeah.
Each league has like 24 teams, so they have a ton of players. He's in the fifth division because of this show. Got the notoriety to do an interview with an American sportscaster. You know what I mean? And talk about
Yeah.
it on ESPN. They were shown today on ESPN too. That's unheard of. That's all
Yeah.
because of the ownership of Rob and Ryan. Like
Yeah.
you
I was
never you
watching the game on
pop
ESPN Plus.
exactly like it's something completely unheard of. So the growth and the impact that they've had, you could already see it. You could already see it. But with that pressure, right, comes other clubs wanting to knock you off. I go, you think you big? So you'll see clubs that don't have the stars, that don't have the money. they're gonna get these hard fought matches because it's pride. They also want to get promoted. They also want to get the hell out of it. They have families to feed.
Hmm.
So you get that whole story, which is what they alluded to when they talked to that owner from the other club. Like, look, having Robin Ryan as an owner doesn't mean promotion. Like, there's people here and these stands that have the same issues these Wrexham fans have, because these
Yep.
are these small little, like watching the game when they played Blythe on Saturday or Sunday,
Saturday,
right?
I think. Uh-huh.
You could see the homes between the stadium. Like, I thought that
Yeah.
was amazing. Like, just seeing that, it was, it's such an embedded show, and I love when Ryan Reynolds goes. Now I can see what you guys are talking about, because he's not a sports fan, right? He doesn't follow sports. Rob
Hmm.
McElhenney does, but now he knows. He's like he says, I got the blood pumping in, like I got the stuff pumping in my blood that you guys
Hmm.
have. Now I can feel it, and it's the truth. I'm a Wrexham fan now. Like, that's the good thing about being over here. Like, I could just watch them and enjoy it because I know these players from what they gave me behind the scenes. And now I'm rooting for Super Paul Mullen. I'm rooting for an
Right.
Ollie Palmer. I'm hoping Jordan Davies and his girl, you know what I mean, have a blessing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's so many
God,
things that
those
happen.
stories, yeah, it's rough
Those
stories,
stories,
man.
like, dude, it's such a good thing. And real quick, I want to give a shout out to the Declan Swans that does an amazing song for the show. And yeah, man, yeah, it's just such a good show, bro. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I could, again, I'd almost say I could rewatch the whole thing again and just see it and just enjoy it. It's
I think
amazing.
I could too. And I usually don't do that. I can do that for something, a movie, a series, after some time has gone by,
Right.
right? Like Vincenzo.
Yeah.
I saw Vincenzo a year ago, and the only reason why I wouldn't rewatch it right away, it's because these are 80-minute episodes. It's a
Yeah.
time
It's
commitment.
different.
They're
Yeah.
24
Yeah.
episodes, but it was that good. But for most other shows and movies, I'm like, all right, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was really good. I enjoyed it, but I don't need to rewatch it. This
Yep.
show, I would rewatch it. I wouldn't be bored. I think it's those stories that connect you to those players and those fans, and maybe it's because I grew up being a fan. I
Yep.
still follow sports. I'm just not a fan like that. But this is
Right.
this team, because it's such a small, like, this team is who they are. This is what they have, and how and who they identify with. And so it's a different type of thing to say, oh, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan or a Hurricanes fan, than saying I'm a Wrexham fan. It's a lot smaller town. Like, these players live amongst these people. Some of those
Mm-hmm.
players make maybe the same amount of money as they make.
Yep.
And so, like, this is who they are. A lot of them were, a few of them are homegrown. So it's it's different. It's it's man, it's captivating, and I
It is. Perfect word.
yeah,
Perfect word.
yeah.
I
It's a
wanted so I alluded. I only want to talk about one episode in specific, right? Like I said, like the show is shot over 2 years. It's a documentary. Obviously, a lot of things get cut, but one of the episodes that that you semi spoiled for me, but not really
did I?
spoiled, right? Was episode 17, romance, right?
Uh-huh.
And um, I thought I was watching it. I was like, there's so romance, to break it down. This is the only one that we're gonna do like a little bit semi breakdown on. So if you, I mean, I don't want to say a spoiler alert because we're gonna
Hmm.
talk about the overview of like what the show was about. But there were so many parts that like so it's about the bromance that Rob and Ryan developed, right? And which
Hmm.
is a funny thing is like because even the word bromance is broken down. It's like you
Right.
can't just say like these two have a love for each other. Like that's too much for men to say, right? And I was like, and I
Yeah,
was thinking about those shows. I was like, man, like we're like all around the world, we're kind of the same. Like we're kind of the same douchebags, aren't we? Like
we are.
when the psychiatrist or whatever that wrote the book, when she's like, "Oh yeah, every time you give somebody one man to another gives them a hug. There's always got to be like it can't ever be heart to heart. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they gotta do
You
the
always
the
gotta have
dab,
the
the
hand
put
in between, like you
the
dap
hand in
up, and
between.
then
Yeah,
and the hand
like
on
you can't
the
make
back.
yeah because you can't make heart to heart contact because
It's too
that's
intimate.
too vulnerable. Yeah, it's too vulnerable. It's like holy. I started thinking about this shit. I was like, holy shit, that's crazy, man. It was, and I know the part that got you. And tell me if I'm wrong. So because we haven't talked about this. the part that you, because you said, I'm gonna put you out there a little bit. The part you said got you a little teary eyed. Was it when the kid on the pitch was talking about? Oh, I guess he's kind of like my dad because he's like showing him how to cook an egg. Like, cause I guess he just never had that. Like so he's it's at the end of the episode, and you can see like the young kid breaking down, and he's like, and he goes, yeah, it's nice to
You-
have a father figure.
You're talking about the other groundskeeper, the younger kid,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then the head groundskeeper.
yeah.
I don't even know if it was that part. I mean, it was that entire episode because it was about the relationships that men have. You and I have been friends for
The inter-
25 years,
yeah, yeah,
and you and I hug you like I hug my brothers. We're
yeah,
brothers. Like there is no
yeah.
like band in between. We're just
No,
yeah,
we go heart to heart.
I think you know what I think sometimes I might since we're spoiling this episode here I think I might jump on you like what's his name jumped on
Rob on Ryan.
on
Yeah,
Rob
yeah,
on Ryan.
yeah,
just
yeah.
I just take off on a dead sprint, but and I have a couple friends that that's how it is. That's how we embrace each other. It's just it's an actual hug. It's not this awkward like, hey, what's up? Here's my hand, your hand.
Like I
Okay, now
don't
I can
know
give
you.
you a
Yeah,
pat on the back. It's like
yeah,
we're brothers. We've known each other for
yeah.
20 plus years, 25 years in our case. And but it's true all around the world. The one thing that unites men and allows them to be
Sports.
yeah, more vulnerable, more intimate, have these relationships that apparently we're not allowed to have outside of sports is
Hmm.
sports. And you see it on
Yeah,
the football field. I was watching the MLS playoffs yesterday, and what happens when everyone comes off the field when there's a sub? Like these guys grab each other in the cheek, and there's a kiss on the cheek and a
yep,
hug and or a pat on the ass. That's and I
yeah.
only see that happen in soccer. That maybe that doesn't happen in basketball, but in soccer, that's real common. Like these
Normal,
guys come off,
commonplace. Yeah,
they're waiting on the they're waiting on the side, and like they hug each other. It's a kiss, and they move on. And but yeah, as far as fans go, like that's the only time that like men can really,
like cry in
I
front of each
guess,
other,
yeah,
be vulnerable.
because you
Yeah.
go through the ups and downs together, and you're
Hmm.
being vulnerable together, and there isn't any barrier there. And then it's back to like, okay, we're gonna put up this wall because we're not
Yeah.
supposed to have emotions, and we just got to carry all this stuff with us. And yeah, so I really yeah, that episode was touching, and it might have been that part where the kid is like, this guy's a father figure. I don't know. They don't talk about whether he actually his father's around or not,
Right.
but
Yeah, they never talk about that.
yeah. So that yeah,
Yeah,
that was touching.
that show is one that like is like you don't see it coming because the other shows aren't like that, right? Like the other shows do allude to like the importance of like a father being in the life. Like you see
Yeah.
Paul Mullen playing with his kids,
Hmm.
and Rob with his kid watching at 6 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, depending on the time difference from LA to Wrexham.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Or all this stuff. So like you see that you don't see that as much with Rob with Ryan with his kids. I think he has girls. I think he's about to have his first
Hmm.
son, so they don't watch it as much. But it was a show that was like a lot of those things were like holy shit. Like yeah, like we do like overall as men like are only that insane or emotional or outward with our emotions during these sporting events.
Yeah.
Like why is that? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not gonna break it down. Like that's not this isn't the podcast for that. But it was like just like those moments were like, holy shit, like yeah, like there's gotta be that space, or you know what I mean, when you're giving somebody depth, or you can't be too vulnerable, just have a conversation with another man about anything. And when the one that she said that just literally just came to me, like, you never see a man like go out to dinner with another man. You know what I mean? Like girls, like, oh, I'm just going to dinner with my girlfriend. Like men don't do that, right? Like it's just not like. I'm not saying all men. I'm sure some men do. You know what I mean? Like as friends, we're like, yo, man, you want to go grab a drink? Like it's never like, yo, man, you want to go share? You know what I mean? You want to go eat?
Yeah.
Like that's not a thing that like that I can think. That is usually, yo, man, you want to go grab a drink? You know what I mean? Like some we're like, oh, we need alcohol because I think most of the times that I've done that, and I'll say this shit like
Hmm.
when I've said that in the past, like I'm probably going through some shit and I kind of want to be around my boys
Hmm.
and talk and but like need the excuse of like alcohol to be like, yo, man, like I really got into it with my step pops today. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
'cause I just can't have that conversation. Like, oh no, we're just bonding. It's the alcohol that made me talk like this. You know
Made
what I
me
mean? Like,
talk. Yeah.
you need that
It's the
you need
liquor
that.
speaking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so insane because it shouldn't be that way. Like, that was such a really well done episode because it starts with the word bromance, right? Like breaking that down. Like it can't just be like, yo, man, these two men have love for each other in a platonic,
You got
and
to make
because
it
of that,
funny.
you got to make it funny. You got to be Ryan Reynolds with trying to be witty and like, no, man, like this is friendship, this is family, this is brotherhood. Like it isn't some weird thing to think that like because you love this man, like that doesn't mean you're trying to have sex with him or make it something awkward or weird. Like you could love, you know what I mean? Like that's brothers. Like I love my brother. I'm saying I love you. I love Chris. Like these are people that I've known forever.
Hmm.
So it's just that show was really interesting, man. So that was like that was such a different show and took a different tone that I really appreciated it.
No, it definitely did. But the entire series is that way, where this is like we've said, it's about two celebrities about a football team. But the story is not just about that. It's not just
No,
about being an owner. It's not just about the soccer that gets played. It's about the relationships. And I think if you look back, all the episodes kind of built to that because they always talk about relationships. These fans about
yeah,
how their father took
that's
them
true.
there, or they watched the game with their grandfather, and that's embedded in each and every episode. That's part of what they show the relationship with their parents or the players' relationships with their kids, and how this is embedded in their DNA, and how sport, in particular soccer and this team, connects connects these people. This town connects those generations of father, son, and then the grandkid, and then it all kind of boils down, or it all leads to that one episode where it
Yep,
just tackles that subject head on. And yeah, man, that was probably my favorite episode,
yep, for sure.
and I think it was the second to last episode.
Yeah, it was episode 17, romance.
Hmm.
WROMANCE. Yeah, they spelled everything with it. Shout out to the fact that I don't understand why sometimes it's Wrexham WR, like how we're spelling it in the thing, and sometimes it's WRECSAM. It's probably because it's a
Maybe in Welsh.
Welsh, Welsh, yeah,
Welsh.
Welsh way of saying it. And this show, I enjoyed this show so much, and besides the fact I'm a huge soccer fan, football fan, uh, I want to go to a game in the race course, and I'm gonna try and do that next year. Like
Yeah.
me and my wife were talking about it, and we want to go, thinking about going to England. I was like, yeah, look, we could go to a Liverpool game because it's 45 minutes away from Wrexham. We could do both. Like, hey, what do you like? I will see. I was like, all right, cool, because she watched the show with me, so it was
Yeah.
really well done. Yeah, man. It's one of my it's just like again it puts two of my favorite things together. Like to me, soccer slash
What,
football
Rob McElhenney and Ryan
and
Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, just Ryan Reynolds. Like, dude, like again, I said that at the beginning of this podcast. Rob McElhenney's a good looking guy, right? Next to Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney looks normal as fuck. Sorry, there's our one.
Nothing
Uh,
wrong with being
then,
normal.
then you put Ryan, then you put Ryan Reynolds next to David Beckham, and it's like just utter difference. Just that's it's look. David Beckham's always been that good looking, right? But you think
Damn him.
it's just son. There's levels to this game. Like I don't know who's above that. Maybe Brad Pitt in his prime. Because Brad Pitt hasn't done that. I don't think he's done that work on his face. But like this, son, like there's just it's so funny because the whole time we're like okay, Rob, me and my wife were talking like Rob McElhenney's a good looking guy, but then Ryan Reynolds, and then episode 18, right, the finale.
Yeah, when they're at the game.
This
Hmm.
yeah, when they're at Wembley, you see David Beckham, and like, and he's older, like bro,
Right.
like just tears, son, just levels, and my
Yeah,
favorite part.
it's like the English football league system. He's still in
Exactly.
Premier League.
This
Ryan's trying to
Premier
get
League.
out of National
Yeah.
League.
My favorite part of episode 18, besides that shit, is when they thought they scored, and Rob McElhenney completely ignores his wife and jumps
Oh
into
yeah,
Ryan Reynolds' arms.
exactly.
Oh man, such a well done show.
It
And
is.
thankfully, there's a season 2. JV, I got nothing else, man. You got something else you want to say about Wrexham?
No, if you have the time, watch it. bite-sized episodes for the most part, with a couple 40-minute episodes thrown in there. And I watch it with the ads because I don't pay for live Hulu or whatever
No, definitely not.
it's called. I have the bundle, the Disney package, but still 26-minute episodes with a few 40-minute episodes in there. Very watchable, very easy to stream, and it's just a really good story.
Yep. And I'll say this: what like we talked about throughout this episode, like it's the story of fandom and that whole thing. You also get to see the birth of a fan in Ryan Reynolds.
Yep.
You get to see that process where he no longer just becomes an owner; he becomes a fan, and it's amazing to see. All right, guys, we got nothing else. Thank you so much for listening to Streamify or watching us on YouTube. Peace.
Out.
Thanks for listening to Streamophile. Directed by John. Executive producer Ben and John. Created by Ben and John. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.